And I think here we are. So, yay, welcome to the Homeschool Teacher Lounge. I am Misty Winkler. I blog and podcast at simplyconvivial.com, which is all about homemaking and homeschooling with a cheerful attitude. And I am joined today by my friend Pam Barnhill. Every time, it's always just me and Pam. So, welcome, Pam.
Oh, goodness. Is a cheerful attitude required?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, man. Hello. I am Pam Barnhill, and I will try to have a cheerful attitude. I have the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast, which you can find on YouTube or in your favorite podcast app. And I would love to have you check that out. And I'm a homeschooling mom of, 3 kids, and we've been doing it forever. Forever.
It feels like that until it's over, right?
Yes. Well, I haven't had it be over yet. You're the only one who's had it be over. So, we'll see. I'm absolutely sure that you are correct.
So, how was your homeschool week last week?
It was like uneventful, which I think is a good thing,
That's
right?
good. Yeah.
We ended up taking Thursday off. So we had schooled all through the month of October, most days with me here, a few days with me not, because of traveling for the Scholé Sisters event. And we had just done a really good job and had been consistent. I won't say that they were fabulous while I was gone, but they did adequate. And so I said, I had a lot of things to do on Thursday, and I said, okay, we're going to reward ourselves with a day off. And we did. So that was really our only non-weekday that we didn't do school last month. And yeah, it was good. It was just pretty uneventful, kind of good. I did pick up an extra resource for science to add a little more hands-on to our science that we were doing. I felt like the reading had gotten a little monotonous and repetitive, and the activities in there were so for example, we were supposed to make cheese, which is a wonderful activity, right? It's a wonderful activity to make cheese. We have the cheese making kit, but little did I know until we opened the cheese making kit that you have to get non-ultra pasteurized milk. So fortunately, there is a resource for that here close to us, and we can do that, but it means driving to the dairy. So I put in a request with the driver's ed instructor that they drive to the dairy one day and get the milk. It's 5 days later. We still have no milk, Yeah. So, yeah. So anyway, you can't rush molasses. And you just, I celebrated my 27th wedding anniversary last week. And so, I know not to try because I've been doing this for a long time now.
So, driver's ed instructor is
Yes, driver's ed instructor. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. So I picked up the Ellen McHenry, The Elements. I thought that this would be something that actually probably my middle child would have a lot of fun with, because he's been wanting to be way more hands-on with some of the stuff. And so we actually just kind of added this into what we're doing, and I'm not going to try to add more or schedule it in. I may leave out some of the other resources in the other program as we go. And you know what? When we get to the end of the year, we've just done enough chemistry, even if we haven't finished one or both. And so, we started using this, and we're having a lot of fun with it, adding it to, all of our readings about scurvy and everything else we've been doing. So, and we will get around to making the cheese. I've got to go get milk and buy the youngest child new pants, because apparently all of his pants have disappeared.
Yeah. Well, apparently my children only have sandals, and it's cold here now. So everyone needs new shoes, and that takes time.
Means a trip to town.
To find. Yep. Well, we're in the middle of town, but it means stopping and going with them to try shoes on.
Yeah.
So
which is always torturous. So how was your
Yes,
week?
it was good. We got the things done. I checked the checklists most days and caught up days that I didn't. So I laid eyes on the kids' work, and um, my youngest, we're doing a kind of, I don't know, cheater study dictation. Like we're doing study dictation, mostly using the spelling wisdom from Simply Charlotte Mason, but no guarantees on actually doing it the, right way. I feel a little bit nervous saying that we're doing study dictation because, the Charlotte Mason police might shut me down. I'm positive we're not doing it right, but it's working really well. And my youngest just kind of leveled up in
Oh, cool.
what she's doing. So she's just, the sentences are much longer than they were, and with some of the more difficult words. So that takes a little bit more time now and her practice. So what we do is I read the whole sentence to her, and then she writes it after as I say each phrase. So she thinks
Okay.
about whether or not she knows. And then we see what words she actually knows how to spell or not from the beginning. And then she practices the words that she got wrong and then writes it out from the corrected version. That's all on Monday. And actually, we still need to do that today.
Oops.
um, so then every day she practices the sentence with her cursive. So this is handwriting practice
Love it.
and spelling all together, and kind of it's practice for copy work, um, commonplacing kind of. She doesn't pick the sentences, but it's kind of getting her ready for that sort of thing. And so she was not quite sure what to think or how to react when she realized that her sentences for the whole week would now not all fit on one page. So, like, we can't do this. This is too long. This takes up too much space. I was like, you can turn the page and use a second page on, Wednesday or what.
That's funny.
You never know what's going to just throw them off and say, well, nope, we can't do this. Yes,
Fills
yes, you
up the whole
can.
page.
It's going to
Love
take
it.
a whole nother minute.
Love it. Love it. Yep. I'm coming up on the need to do a periodic review session because there are a few things I think I want to tweak. I mean, obviously, I added a little bit already. And I think when I start thinking about things I want to change a little bit or add, and actually, there's nothing really I want to change, um,
Mm-hmm.
except for maybe to do history one extra day a week because I feel like we're kind of lagging behind on that one. But uh, I have a few things I think I want to add in morning time. And then the morning time binder needs to be a little bit refreshed. Like there's some new memory work that's just kind of stuffed in there right now and needs to be put in page protectors and things like that. So I think I'm coming up on my first periodic review session, and I need to go ahead and get that scheduled on my calendar. We just had it with our Plan Your Year community not too long ago. But I wasn't ready for it then because I felt like I had just started school. But now I think I'm probably about 6 weeks in and I'm ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
yeah.
is after about 6 weeks. It's like, okay, time to reassess and figure out how is this actually working.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're almost at the end of a calendar year. It's November. There's going to
I
be
know.
holiday breaks. And so January is a great time to kind of redo things, right?
Yeah.
We
Which
can.
means I have to be farther along than 6 weeks into my school year. I have to be. So maybe I'm 8 weeks in. It's like, seriously, I started at the end of August. So September, October, I'm 8 weeks in. Yes. Oh my goodness. Starting late just really throws you off.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the time of year it is and all of that, It is November 1st, and
It
our
is.
topic for today is the November slump, because that's a thing. It's a thing that sometimes takes us by surprise. Um, you know, with our year-round homeschool calendar and starting in July, um, in previous years, I just assumed that it was kind of a hitting that halfway point slump.
Hmm.
Um, we've kind of used up our momentum, and it's time for a refresh, and the weather changes and all of that. But it turns out you don't, even if you aren't halfway through your school year yet because you had a late start, still.
What? I was really, really hoping I was going to skip it this year.
Because we also have just had our first kind of rainy days of the season. So
Yeah.
that the weather affects the feeling of momentum as well.
I agree. I think that there's some weather aspect to it as it starts getting cold and things like that. I think, but one of the things I think impacts the November slump is we really want to turn our attention to something else. Like, so far up until this point, we have had our attention on getting our school year off to a great start. I mean, you and I know from years and
Yeah.
years and years of like blog data, homeschool moms are not looking at blogs in September and October. They're not opening emails. They're really super focused on getting their homeschool year started. There's a lot of that going on. And
Hmm.
I think what happens in November is we're like, okay, we've got our school year started. It's kind of rolling on its own steam right now. And what we really want to be doing instead is thinking about the holidays, right? Is thinking
Yeah.
about Thanksgiving and Christmas and thinking about, and feeling the pressure. Like that's after the start of the school year, that's our next big project. And
Hmm.
so I think we start shifting our focus and shifting our attention to those other things and really wanting to be working on those. And that I think that has a big impact on that November slump.
Hmm. Yeah. And you have enough weeks under your belt to realize that it's just going to be another average old school year. You went into it with the blinders on, thinking, okay, this is going to be, I'm going to pay attention. This is going to be great school year. We're going to do this, this, and this better. And now we're like, okay, so it is what it is. Guess we're just going to keep going with what it is.
There's some comfort though. There's some comfort in keeping going with what it is because you know how it's going to turn out and you know how it's going to end. But I don't know. I think you can always throw things in there to kind of change it up a little bit.
Hmm.
So one of the suggestions I would make is lean into the holidays a little bit. And take a little bit of time to enjoy that with your kids and make some of that part of your school, not adding on, but replacing some other things so that you can really, really enjoy some of the things that you're doing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. And
so
morning
there's
time is a great time. And, one of those great places where you can just switch things out and it's not adding anything to your day.
Yeah, yeah, which brings to mind a great resource, which I did not do this on purpose, but since the opportunity has presented itself, I will tell you about it. If you go to pambarnhill.com/Christmas, we have a free Christmas resource for you that it's a whole Christmas around the world set of morning time explorations that you can
Nice.
use for the entire month of December. So go ahead and download that now and um, plan on using that because it's absolutely free. So,
Hmm.
that's one way you can do that. Um, I think the other thing too is this is something I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing with my family today is having a conversation about the holidays and talking about which things are important to you this holiday season? So as I'm thinking about the holiday season as the mom, and I'm really feeling this year as I've got, teenagers who are getting, like we're on the downhill slide to them
Hmm.
being gone and out of the house, right? And so this is kind of weighing on me. And so I want to make sure that as I'm expending all this time and energy to create something wonderful, that it's actually the wonderful thing that they want to experience, you know, that it's
Yeah.
not something like, and it's very possible that it could end up being something very simple and takes a big load off of me. And then the other part of that question is, what do you want to help with?
Mm.
So if you want this great, because they're old enough to help now, right? I don't have to take all
Hmm.
of this on myself. So if you want, three kinds of pie at Thanksgiving, let's do it. But which one are you going to make? You know, um, if you want this for Christmas, that's great. But how are you going to help us get there? If you want a Christmas tree in every room of the house, okay. But how many are you putting up? Because I'm doing one. you know And that's probably not going to be their answers. Knowing my kids, it's probably going to be things like watch Christmas movies together. And how hard is that? And,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, I think another part of the November slump is just having spent all of that attention and energy on getting it going, then you hit, maybe not quite burnout yet, but maybe you just feel that like you can't keep up the momentum of that school year fresh start all the time. So you also start hitting that point where you realize like this just has to become the everyday thing, not the all in intensive that I started off with. And so part of it is just recognizing that putting in that intensive energy and attention at first was great. And you do kind of have to let it just go on some momentum that you started with that intensity, but you can't, it's okay that you can't keep that up all the time. And so you have to figure out how to just build those routines and habits so that make it easy to keep going, or easier anyway, and um, refuel and recharge yourself so that you don't hit the burnout mode, especially if you can stop it before you hit the burnout. You just recognize like I don't have this kind of intense energy. What am I going to do? Hit pause before you hit burnout. um, or if you hit burnout, like take a day off of school, or just put on audiobooks, or go for a hike or something where you are just enjoying your time together. And this is about the time of year where I also just know that my energy is going to start going down because of the weather, or because of
Mhm.
there being so many other things, like keeping a lot of things, so holidays and school or whatever, more responsibilities added on means a little bit more of that diffused feel, like the energy is going in multiple directions. So this is where I start taking my vitamin D and some vitamin B, and I have a happy light. So like I get something that feels like sunshine. And those things do help.
That's awesome. I think like we forget, like like we go into the school year, like you were saying, with this big intensity for everything. And this is what we're doing right now. And then we imagine in our head that if we're not keeping that same intensity the entire year, we're
Yeah.
failing somehow. And that's not the case, because everything has natural rhythms of ups and downs. Think about it. Your days have natural rhythms of ups and downs. You have periods of your day where you have more energy and less energy. Your weeks have these rhythms of ups and downs. Like, I don't know about you. I always like start the week really strong on Monday and I'm able to get so much done. And then I kind of, struggle as we get closer and closer to the weekend. But your year is going to do that too.
Mhm.
It is just a natural rhythm of your year that it is going to do that as well. And so it's not failure to follow those natural rhythms to follow. So lean into the dip and set yourself up. Like Misty said, go on the walk, put on the audiobooks, step back a little bit and just kind of rest into that natural dip, do some extra crafts or whatever it is that you could do. I mean, for Misty and me, that wouldn't be crafts, but whatever it is for you. And then get ready to like go back up again and hit that higher level of intensity. I would say we are always pretty intense. Normally like July through the end of September for sure, mid-August or mid-October, usually. So, and that's our strongest, biggest chunk. And I hate that we missed so much of it this year. And then we dip again until January. And then in January,
Yep.
I'm like, oh, I didn't really get as much done as I wanted to last semester because I never do. And we like go again and then we peak. It's quickly over, like mid-February, we're like, oh yeah, yeah. And then like right at the end for another very short peak, we kind of like gear up again. It's like, oh, now we got to finish all this stuff. But I'm learning to like not beat myself up over the valleys and realize that they're just a natural part of our rhythm as a family.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes it's an expectation about what consistency really means. Like we think consistency means being the same the whole time. Like I'm going to start up at this level and then we're going to keep it going. And really, consistency just needs to be putting one foot in front of the other and doing what you can, but working with the natural rhythms because they are natural rhythms, and fighting it is only going to get you to burn out faster
Yeah.
and not actually get you farther, the farther ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that I think part of the reason that January strong start feeling doesn't last as long as the new school year one does, because, I experienced those same time periods in my homeschool as well. And I think it's because the January one is all of the things all at once, right? Like clear the Christmas stuff,
Yes.
have an organized home and a weight loss plan and a homeschool. And so that means it doesn't last as long. And so then and February hits hard and fast.
Yes, it does.
And so you dip, but then the stuff starts blooming outside and it's sunny again, and you could start that plodding consistency again.
Yeah. Recently, I was talking about on the 10 Minutes to a Better Homeschool podcast, I was doing early elementary years and I was talking about math. And I told them, look, you can do 10 minutes of math and get 10 minutes of math done with no tears. Or you can do 30 minutes of math and have a lot of tears and get 10 minutes of math done. And this is the same kind of thing. Like you can grit your teeth and say, we're going to push through, but the quality of what you're going to get is not going to be, any good. And so you might as well not grit your teeth and push through, So,
Yep.
might as well lean into it and step back and just switch it up. Don Garrett says a change is as good as a rest. So make a change.
Yep. And the holidays provide a great time for just getting a little bit of changing things up and hitting a refresh. So, speaking of that, expectation and our own energy levels and attention and engagement as homeschool moms, I have an exciting announcement, and that is that next week, my book, The Convivial Homeschool, will be available for pre-order on Amazon. So stay tuned next week. I hope at our next one next week, I'll be able to say you can find it on Amazon, but
awesome.
that's going to be available for pre-order, and it will release in December in time to arrive for Christmas. That's, barring, I don't know, paper
Any world
shortages or,
supply chain issues or
delivery. Suddenly UPS will
yeah, the post
be
office doesn't
constructed.
work or
You never know.
that's the plan. I am so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, that's going to be great. Okay, so I know we have a topic for next week, but I can't remember what it is. Oh, EHAP.
Oh, yes. My favorite.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. So much fun. EHAP. If you want to know what this means, you have to come to my channel next week.
It's my homeschooling and homemaking secret. It's the secret weapon. So,
Yep.
EHAP.
Love it. Yep. All right. That sounds awesome.
All right. So thank you for joining us, everyone. It was so fun to see your faces in the chat, and I hope that you come back next time.